All right, Robert, thanks for coming in. I know that we have some very real things to talk about. Every single time we always see the comments. So helpful, the information you're providing people, and we thank you for that. Yeah. Today, I think we're talking about a little bit of coverage, a little bit of protection if something were to happen. Launch us right into some of the things you want to share about today.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the fact that, a lot of the time people will come into our office, and one of the things that we'll ask first is, what kind of coverage do you have for yourself? And the answer we get is, frequently, I have full coverage, which really doesn't tell us anything about whether or not you're protecting your body. It just tells us that you've got your car protected. So that's one of the things that people, I think, misunderstand most frequently about their own auto insurance coverage.
Right. So, I was going to say, how much coverage do you need to get? I mean, is there because you're going through insurance companies, you're trying to figure this out, and they're saying take this, you want to get the most, but what do we do?
But you want to be cost effective, right? The most that you can afford, that's a great idea. I mean, the most expensive thing you're typically going to pay for is that liability coverage, like what the state mandates for you, the 1530. But you want to be sure that you have the exact same coverage to protect yourself. And that coverage is called uninsured or underinsured motorist coverage. You want to make sure that those limits match your liability limits dollar for dollar. That way you're protecting yourself in the case that somebody else injures you.
I was just going to say, okay, so I feel like I'm going to plead naive to this because I truly,
tough,
it's like a different language, and this is what I appreciate so much about you. Yeah. So when you're talking about if something happens and you injure yourself, it's your own fault, I guess, versus someone else does something to injure you. Those are almost two different pipelines of insurance coverage that you need.
They are, totally. If you do something to injure yourself, you've got to look at your own medical payments coverage. That'll take care of, are you going to have to go to the emergency room, or are you going to have to go see someone like a chiropractor or a physical therapist to help cover your bills on that front. But usually when we're looking at it, we're looking at the uninsured and underinsured motorist coverage just in the event that somebody hits you, causes a lot of damage, and they either don't have insurance or they don't have enough to cover what actually has happened to you.
What if your insurance company says you save money on uninsured motorists,
You definitely don't want to do that.
Don't do that. Say, hey, you can save money doing this, but no, don't.
That's like the cheapest coverage you get. So say I spend $100 over 6 months on that minimum coverage, 1530 liability coverage. It's going to cost me like $10 over 6 months for that same uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. So it's about 1/10 the cost of the liability coverage. So you're not really saving much money, but you're putting yourself at a huge disadvantage if you do that.
It's probably like an extra $5 or something.
It literally,
right?
Barely,
Wow, not even that. Wow. This is why we always ask Robert to come in. So, all right, one last question I want to ask about. Well, a lot of people think that if I file a claim, something happens, file a claim, immediately my rates are going to shoot up.
Definitely not. If you're at fault for a crash, your rates are going to go up. Sure. But if you're not at fault for a crash, they will not go up. The insurance companies are prohibited by law from raising your rate. So if we go after your uninsured motorist coverage, your underinsured motorist coverage, or medical payments coverage, by law, your insurance company cannot raise your rates, not even a single penny as a result of us doing that.
Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I thought it was the opposite.
Any claim, boom. No, but that's good.
Robert Caracoff.
Isn't that amazing? What if you have like another car that you don't want to have full coverage on? What's the one coverage you must have? Right? Like you should have that. Like say you don't care if your car is stolen because it's so old, or if it's your fault, you just want to make sure that you're covered.
Yeah.
So we just go for something.
Well, there
just
I think you're okay just looking at that liability coverage. Make sure you've got your basic liability coverage, and make sure your uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage matches that. And if you can tack it on, the medical payments coverage is a nice additional coverage for yourself too.
Look at you throwing him curveballs, and he's just smacking.
He went right with it.
He's smacking it. You're asking. He's literally asking personal questions, which
right.
I love because you're like getting info from Robert right now.
Well, he knows everything.
I know.
This is his deal here.
You're also, if I have
his wheelhouse.
If I have an old BMW that I just fixed up.
Say it's a 2006. Yeah.
How about this one? What about motorcycles?
Motorcycles are tough.
Game.
I mean,
when you come back, we'll talk motorcycles.
Let's talk motorcycles when we come back.
That's a whole other
game.
You're so good.
Yeah.
At that time when you come back, the Chiefs will have won the Super Bowl. Let's put up a little information. I think anyway. That's what the prediction's gonna say.
So far,
Triumph Law is where you could find Robert and the crew. 600 Coolidge Drive, Suite 190 up there in Folsom. Phone number, website, everything you need. Thanks, man. Appreciate you during tailgate week.
Oh yeah, I love it. I'm gonna come next year at this time too.
Yes.
Especially if you guys are cooking.